Kadosh Boker Or. I wanted to share with you an incredible idea on this week's parasha. In the beginning of the parasha, it says, Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, says Hashem to Moshe, Emor al Kohanim, right? Go tell to the Kohanim, right? Emor al Kohanim in Aaron, Ve'amarta lehem, and tell them. What does it mean, the double expression, Emor ve'amarta? Say, meaning he comes and he tells Moshe Rabbeinu, say to the Kohanim, ve'amarta lehem, and tell them. Well, say and say, like it's both even the same Amar Amar. It's not even by Daber Amar or Amar. Everything is the same language. What's Emor ve'amar? So Rashi answers this question, because he had the question, and he says, La'azhira gdolim al aktanim. What does that mean? You have to tell the gedolim that they have to tell the ktanim, meaning you tell the parents, the adults, you tell them this is what you have to do, which means that they have to not become tameh, they have to, meaning that they're not allowed to contaminate themselves to an impure body, they're not allowed to do certain things, right? And they are going to tell the children, listen, this is what you need to do. So in the Noam Elmaleh, there's a beautiful commentary that says like this, La'azhira gdolim al aktanim, להיות כל אדם בשעה שעוסק בתורה ובתפילה ובאיזה דבר שבקדושה, אז הוא בגדלות המוחין. Meaning we thought that it means that you're telling the adults to tell the children. Says the Noam Elmaleh, that's not the explanation exactly. Every time that you do a mitzvah, that you're learning Torah, that you're doing tefillah, you are called an adult in your brain. You are called an adult. Because that is the derech of the tzaddikim. Before the tefillah, they come and they meditate. They think about what they're doing. And they come and they prepare themselves to pray. The kedusha that they get when they're doing that, right, is what's bringing them up. But after the tefillah and after the learning of the Torah, he goes down to katnut hamochin. He goes down like a child. What does that mean? That he starts coming and worrying and wasting his time and other things. So he says that's not the reason why we're here. So a person should always be b'kedushav ta'ana without stopping for a moment. That's what it means. La'azhira gdolim al aktanim. You should always be in gdolim. No matter what you're doing, you're always thinking in kedusha. You're always doing things of kedusha. So therefore, a person has to come and always connect himself to gadlut machshavto, to the greatness of his mindset in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in order that he's always connected to Hashem. And that's the pshat la'azhira gdolim pirush b'sha shehem begadlut. When you're great, al aktanim, that they should stay in the kedusha, even though they're ktanut. Hainu likach ha'torerut lichok belev ha'adam liot lo kikinyan kechelek ben adam. What does that mean? When you're on the high, take it, and you're going to take this on the high to come, and in order that you should always be on the high. So you take advantage of what you have, and then you continue going. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, in this, the Chidushei Harim comes and he explains a pasuk. The pasuk says, Al zot yitpalel kol chasid. Every chasid should come and they should pray. Yeah, he says, Le'et metzor, the time of being found. That it shouldn't come to you. So he says, what does that mean exactly? So he says as follows. He says, Ikar tefillah. And the concept of a chassid is that the mitzvah that he should be zocheh and ruchaniyut, whatever you find in spirituality, should always be by you. Meaning like this, right? Many times in life, you get to a certain level, and you're up there, mamash, in spirituality, in emunah, but it's only for the moment. And then it dissipates, and it goes back down, and you go back to normal. Many times that happens on Kippur. Sometimes it happens on Kippur during the time of Ni'ilah, that the people, they're mamash in the shamayim, a little bit more, they could almost, already touch the malachim. And it said they're all the way up there. And all of a sudden, 5 minutes after Kippur, it's not even 5 minutes after Kippur, they just finished the shofar, and already even the first beracha, they're already what happened to them? 5 minutes ago, they were in the heavens. They were all the way up there. What happens is that a person doesn't realize, right, that in essence, right, what a person is doing, and a person has to understand, is that he has to pray that when he gets to a certain level, stay there. Stay there. Don't lose it. So he says, and that's also the Sfat Emet. The Sfat Emet says It says, Biyom tova heye betov. What does that mean? In the day of good, good be good. It says you have to come and take advantage of the good times in order that you go deep in the heart. And that's why the Gemara actually says in Masechet Berachot that you should say Emet Yatziv and Shachrit, because in the morning there's He'ara. So therefore you wanted that it should be Kavua. It should be Yatziv, it should be fixed. And the entire Avodah should be Kayama. And therefore a person will stay there, right, instead of coming and falling. So the Saba Mikelem says, that's the explanation also in the Gemara, Lo yagati umatzati al tamin. If a person comes and he says, listen, I didn't have to work on it, but I found it, don't believe it. Because the Saba Mikelem says, Im lo yagav yachkim adam bekochot atzmo rak shama me'acher, madua lo lamin. Why are you not going? If you right now, you heard a whole bunch of wisdom, why wouldn't you believe it? So he says, the Saba Mikelem, if you heard it and you didn't work on it, you didn't understand it. He says that's something that just goes through the brain, but you didn't acquire it. It's like, you know how it is. Many times you hear shiur, it's a beautiful shiur. But 5 minutes after shiur, you can't even repeat it. It's not yours. You didn't work on it. You didn't involve yourself. You didn't do anything with it. You know, I just actually gave a shiur this past Shabbat in the Beit Knesset, and I told them something incredible. I would have to actually find it. I remember one of my teachers, I don't remember if it was an English teacher, a history teacher. I don't remember which teacher was, science teacher, could be even science. I don't remember which one it was. They went onto the board and they said something, they wrote down something incredible. I think they wrote down, again, don't quote me on the numbers because I probably forgot the numbers, right? Maybe I didn't acquire it 100%. They said 20% of what you read, you remember. 30% of what you hear, you remember. 40% of what you write, you remember. 50% of what you review, you remember. What was the concept? The concept is that every one of your senses, when you come and you do something with one of your senses and you involve your senses into it, you remember it. But then they told me something incredible. If you combine them, so for example, if I'm reading, but while I'm reading, I'm speaking. I forgot about that. The speaking was another one. But let's say I'm speaking it over. And when I'm speaking it over, I'm also listening to what I'm saying. So then I combine those percentages. So I had, let's say, 20% of what I read and 30% of what I listened to. Now it becomes, when I'm reading and listening, it becomes 50. And if I spoke about it, maybe I come another 10%. So it's an incredible thing. Again, I've never seen it written down. I should actually look for it, right? But it's an incredible concept. Yeah? So he comes and he says, right, as follows. Yeah, the concept of the 101 does come from there, because it does come that how many times you used to learn it until it used to be in your pocket. So Rosh Lakish actually used to say that a person should learn something 40 times. But when he learns it 40 times, it's like it's already in your pocket. And there were a lot of rabbis that used to do that 40 times. When you learn it 101, you remember it 100%, that you won't forget it. So that, if you remember, I actually brought down, it's a beautiful Kli Yakar. Because the Kli Yakar says, Zachar is to remember. Liskor, Zachor. Zachar is, Zecher is to remember. Zecher is how much? 227. Shachach, Shocheach, Lo Tishkach is to forget. Shachach is what? Is 328. The difference between 328 and 227 is 101. Meaning when you add the 101 to the Zecher, to remember, it's going to overpower the forgetfulness, which is Shachach. That's why you're supposed to do it, right? You learn 101 times and all of a sudden it's going to come and you're not going to forget. But the concept, though, that we're trying to say is that I went and I brought them a proof to this Yisod, a Gemara Masechet Baba Batra. The Gemara Masechet Baba Batra says, Ashremi sheba lekan v'talmudo biyado. Fortunate is the person that comes in this world and he has the Talmud in his hands. So we thought it's physically in his hands, or maybe that he understands it. It's like in his pocket. The Maharsha says that he writes it down. Because when you write down your learning, you remember it more. So that's why it says, fortunate is the person that he comes to this world, to the Olam HaEmet, and he has his Talmudo Biyado, that he writes it. So I mentioned it this past Shabbat in a shiur, and then one of the members of the class, he came to me and he said, Rabbi, you know what? You're right. Ever since then, every single day, he's coming to the Daf Yomi, and he's writing out the entire shiur. Writing out the entire shiur. Again, why? Because he's working on it, and it changes the entire thing. They come, they start understanding, they start asking questions, it's not just come, lie back, listen to a shiur, beautiful shiur, and that's it. No, he's working on it. So says Saba Mikelem, if you think that you didn't work and that you're going to remember, dream on. Doesn't work. It went in the brain. It went in one ear, out the other. I don't remember who it was. One of the big Dolim said, halvai that it even went inside and it passed through the other side. Sometimes it just goes inside and it's, ricochets back. It doesn't even go inside. It doesn't even pass through. You understand? If it's there and it went in one, it comes out the other, it had to go through. Sometimes it doesn't even go through. It's like, whoops. Yeah, it didn't even go in. So that's the greatness about it. You understand? So why is it exactly, according to what we just said now, that a person wants to make a kinyan, when he wants to acquire, to make a form of an acquisition that becomes theirs, why is it they have to work so much? Yeah, yagata umatzata tamin. Only when you mamash, you're yagea, you're coming, you're working, you're putting your emphasis, your oomph, your enthusiasm into it. Then tamin, believe it. If you just say, yeah, I was taking it easy and I acquired it. Oh, no. Don't believe it. So they say like this. We're going to say an incredible yesod, a foundation, something very fundamental. And we have to say that this yesod is in all generations. When we're going to pay attention that from the time that we became a nation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu came and he gave us incredible insights and he came to us revelations. Think about whether it's Matan Torah, Yetziat Mitzrayim, Kriyat Yam Suf, but immediately afterwards we did the Egel. How do you explain that? How do you explain that you have a generation where they had everything and still all of a sudden they come and they did an Egel? Does it make sense? HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings us into Eretz Yisrael with all the miracles which don't make sense. Nobody died. There was only one time when they died. They went, they had to check, and they realized that they took on the cherem. They weren't allowed to take from something, and they did take it. What's going on? And they say like this, they went and they took the shofar, and they conquered 7 nations. We learned from their actions, and we started doing those as well. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu builds us a Bet HaMikdash, and every single day we have miracles. And still we went and we killed the Navi in the Bet HaMikdash. The Chaya Navi was killed in the Bet HaMikdash. They killed him in the Bet HaMikdash. His blood was bubbling, right, as a miracle. In order to make them do teshuvah, they didn't do teshuvah. All the miracles. So what happened exactly? And the answer is that many times when we see miracles that are above our level, things that we did not acquire with our own blood, flesh and blood, they don't stay. They're like flying in the air, but they're not ours. And that's why the Gemara says that the Torah, Eretz Yisrael and Olam Haba, they're only acquired through suffering. What does that mean? Anything that comes in easy, right? It doesn't exist. Anything which is truly precious, you have to suffer for it. Yeah, people have children. Children is suffering. It's called Tsa'ar Gidul Banim. Women, Tsa'ar means the suffering of bringing up children. You think it's easy? It's not easy to bring up children, right? It says, "Banecha kishtile zetim saviv l'shulchanecha." Your children are like zetim, are like olives. Do you realize what you have to do with olives? You have to come take them to an olive press, but you have to crush them, right? You have to. It's hard. It's difficult. It doesn't just say. It's not like a grape that you just squeeze and you have. Even grapes, you have to mamash. You have to, but it's difficult. It's hard. Banecha kishtile zetim saviv l'shulchanecha. They're going to be like zetim, which are going to be around your table. So he says anything in life, the woman also, Tsar Leida, she gives birth, she has to suffer through it. Anything good in life, you have to suffer. It doesn't exist that if it's not going to suffer, right? Why? Because you have to work on it. You have to come and you have to do something. And that until it goes, you have to work. Now it's true, each person could take it in a different fashion. Meaning you could take Tsar Gidul Banim and you make it into a bracha. It's true you're going to have to work very, very hard, but you don't look at it as suffering because you're happy to do it. So when you ask right now a woman, she's going to be happy carrying the baby for 9 months, even though it could be that at the beginning she had the morning sicknesses and all the sufferings and then the pains and the this and that and everything that you want, but she's happy to do it. But she's looking at it that it's worth it and it's a bracha and she wants it. And the same you find with any type of a suffering that a person wants. But anything good in life, you have to work for it. It doesn't come easy. Nothing comes easy. Anything that comes easy, goes easy. So the same thing. They say, what was the message, right? That he went and he showed the Oleh Regalim, the miracle of the hot lechem apanim. You remember that in Eretz Israel, in the Bet HaMikdash, we had the lechem apanim. Lechem apanim was the breads that stayed hot, that every single Friday they used to come and take them out, and it was good for another week. Yeah, so imagine, good for a week. They stayed, and there was no preservatives. That's the best part about it. Yeah, because nowadays with preservatives, it's easy. But not only, but they still didn't invent a preservative which keeps it hot. They made preservatives that you could eat something and you could eat it 5 months later, and ki'ilu, it's not that bad, but it's got so much preservatives and poison, you don't want to even look at it. You don't even want to know what's in there. But they didn't make a preservative that if I put hot bread in the oven, not only will it preserve, but it will stay hot. That they didn't find it. Yeah, and we have to speak to the scientists. Yeah, that they didn't find. Here it was like that. What happened exactly? One of the miracle, besides the 10 miracles that happened in the Bet HaMikdash, Chazal say that the Oleh Regalim, they used to see an extra miracle. What was the extra miracle? The lechem apanim. What does that mean? He says over here like this. It says lechem apanim used to stay hot from the day that it was baked 7 days later. And when they used to take it off, it was mamash, it was hot, as if it... Now, don't tell me that the lechem apanim, that the shulchan had a heating box. Right? There was no heating box. There was no... Yeah, it was cold, everything. So Chazal teach us like this. You have to do 2 rows of 6. So 2 rows of 6 is 12. Right? 12 lechem apanim. Right? You have... So the Gemara says, what does it mean al shulchan tahor? We used to come and bring it to the Oleh Regalim. And we used to tell them, look how precious we are. The same way that we're taking it out is the same way that we put it there. We put it on the shulchan when it was boiling hot. It's boiling hot right now when we're taking it off. So it's incredible. It says of Yeshua ben Levi, right? Netz gadolaya. So he says, the Mefarshim say, what's so important, this one, out of all the miracles? Meaning, I want to come and I want to make an impact. I'm going to ask you guys, what is the most impactful thing that I'm going to show you? And you're going to tell me, show them the lechem apanim. Why? Why is that more impactful than anything else? So the rabbis come and they say, right, something incredible. It's a Mikdash Mordechai. From a Mordechai Ilan Zatzal, that he comes and he says like this. We learn a Yesod Gadol, that Nisim Gedolim, these 10 miracles were incredible miracles. And each one was in order to show us an incredible shiur and emunah bitachon and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, especially that happened in Bet HaMikdash. But he says, but when you come and you see all these miracles, you learn emunah and everything, but afterwards, when you go to your house, that's it. You forget about the miracles. You forget about everything, but that's like normal, right? It rubs off. It runs off. You know how many times people, they could come and they could see an incredible miracle and they don't understand. You know how many times these people that they went through October 7th, they saw miracles with their eyes. And you ask yourself, if you saw so many miracles, and by nature they should have destroyed us, how is it that they weren't Chozeh B'Tshuvah? Some people, Baruch Hashem, they opened up their eyes and they were Chozeh B'Tshuvah. But some people no. And you ask yourself, how is it they're not? And the answer is that they could see all the miracles in the world, and then after a little while, they just continue. Yeah? You have Iran sending hundreds of missiles, that all you need is one missile hitting a building, and Chas Shalom, you could have tens, hundreds of people passing away. Because they were shooting it in areas, right, of population of civilians. It's not like we're trying to come and shoot down, right, or shoot in different places where there's no civilians, right? We're trying to shoot down either terrorists or empty buildings or just infrastructure or things like that. Here, they're purposely trying to hit civilians. And there's not one that hits the target. You know what that is? That they're all shot down beforehand. So now you're right. You can look at it. Listen, it's all nature. We've got an incredible David Sling, and we have Thads, and we have this, and Patriots, and continue going. But at the end of the day, it's all miracles. All you need is one not paying attention. And look what happened beside Ben Gurion. They stopped flights. Everybody cancels flights. You stop an entire country. All you need is one missile coming in. That's all that you need. So look at the miracles. But it rubs off. Because what happens is you come and you say, wow, Baruch Hashem. But then tomorrow and then the next day, you continue as if nothing ever happened. So he comes and he says, therefore, this miracle that they saw the lechem apanim, the way that it was taken off, a person has to come and realize it was a message. You guys see all these miracles. You guys have to be like the lechem apanim. What does that mean? Just like the lechem apanim, when you brought it, it was hot. And when you're taking it, it's going to be hot. So too, when you're hot over here, when you're here, you're on the highest levels, right? Every single person, they go to Kever Rachel, they go to the Kotel, they feel inspired. Kippur Nigla, they feel inspired. They want to become incredible people. Stay hot. That's the message of the Lechem Apanim. The Lechem Apanim was not different than any other miracle that we had in the Bet HaMikdash. We had tons of miracles there. But the message of the Lechem Apanim was, don't let it rub off. Don't get cooled down. When now you're hot, when now you're excited, when now you're enthusiastic, and you want to do something, and you come and you accept upon yourself a million things because you want to become closer to God, accept it. And stay hot the way the Lechem Apanim was hot, even if it's going to be days later. That's the message of the Lechem Apanim.